ಬಹುಶಃ ನಾವು ಮುಂಚೆನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಊಟ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಧ್ಯ ನಾವು ನಿಂತಂಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ದಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ದ ಲಂಚ್. So this session is about civic participation. Hello, can you hear me better now? Yeah. So this session is about civic participation, Nagarika Sahabhagitva. So I think I and all the panelists are standing here, or we are going to be here on behalf of the citizens present. So since morning we have been discussing various aspects of urban governance in Karnataka. Mr. Nigel, you can come right to the, please come. So since morning we have been discussing on various aspects of urban governance, and one of the very important topics for this is how can citizens engage with their city government to make their cities better. So in that context, we have some really authentic grassroots voices with us today. And I have the pleasure to know most of them and having worked with them for the last few years. So we have Mr. Santosh Hiremath from Kalaburgi, the northern tip of Karnataka, and Ms. Malavika from Mysore, Mr. Nigel from Mangaluru, and Mr. Karibasappa from Davangere. I myself hail from Hubli Dharwad, so I would say that, so I think all the 4 regions of Karnataka are represented. So I would like to begin with a few things, and then we'll have the panelists share their views, the status of civic engagement in their cities, in their regions, and then we'll have a few questions and answers also. So I'll just give a brief of civic participation in the overall context and in Karnataka. So because there were a few questions in the morning, ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ರಚನೆ ಆಯಿತು, ಹೇಗಿದೆ, ಜನರು ಹೇಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ನಗರ ಆಡಳಿತದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಬಹುದು, ಹಾಗೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್, ಇನ್ ದ ಸ್ಪಿರಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಷನ್, ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಅ ಕ್ವಿಕ್ Q&A. ಸೊ ಹೂ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ರೆಡಿ ಫಾರ್ ಅ ಕ್ವಿಕ್ ಕ್ವಿಜ್? ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆಯಿಂದ ನಾವು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚಿಂತೆನೂ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಲೈಕ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸರ್ಕಾರದಿಂದ ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದಾನೇ ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಈ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಕ್ವಿಜ್ ಅನ್ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು, ಸಚಿವರು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಇಲಾಖೆಗೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ದ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎನಿ particular sector or department. ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ, ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿ. ಯಾರು? ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, RDPR ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕಂದಾಯಕ್ಕೂ ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ ಸಿದ್ದು ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ನಗರಾಡಳಿತಕ್ಕೆ 3 ಜನ ಸಚಿವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಭೈರತಿ ಸುರೇಶ್ ಅವರು, ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ರಹೀಂ ಖಾನ್ ಅವರು, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ನಗರಾಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಗೆ ಮಾನ್ಯ DCM ಅವರೇ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲ 31 ಸಚಿವರ ಪಟ್ಟಿ ತೆಗೆದು ನೋಡಿ, ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದು. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಹೆವಿ ವೇಟ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಲೈನ್ that actually. And just quickly, we are talking about participation. ಸೊ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆಯಿಂದ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾತಾಯ್ತು, ಬೇರೆ ನಗರಗಳು ಇದಾವೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಏನು ಅಂತ ಬಹಳ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ತಟ್ ಅಂತ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಿಟೀಸ್, ಟೌನ್ಸ್ ಇವೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದಾ ಕ್ವಿಕ್ಲಿ? ಕೈ ಎತ್ತು. ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆಯಿಂದ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ. ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಟೌನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಿಟೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ? ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಡೂ ಬೋತ್ because it has been so. We are talking about urban governance in Karnataka, so we'll do both. So how many cities and towns? So when we are talking about citizen participation, it is important for us to know how many actually cities and towns are there. So we have 315 cities and towns. So just a quick background of citizen participation is that we have talked a lot about citizen participation in through the 74th Amendment and all that since morning. So it's not that municipalities and corporations did not exist earlier. So the government of India tried to bring a uniformity with the 74th Constitutional Amendment and bring some reforms. So one of the sections in the 74th Amendment says that there has to be a ward committee or a wards committee for every city corporation with more than 3 lakh of population. Now that amendment came in 1993, June to be precise. But the amendment itself did not enable citizen participation by itself. There were state government acts, enactments, which had to be updated to enable the citizen participation. Now, do you know when it happened in Delhi in 1993? So to be applicable in Karnataka, it took another 20 years. It's only in 2011 that the Karnataka government or the Karnataka legislature adopted the ward committees provision in the city corporations of Karnataka. So until then, there was no provision or no significant provision to say so. So only in 2011, almost after 20 years, the citizen participation enabling legislation was adopted in Karnataka. So when we say 30 years, it's actually 20 years were wasted from Delhi to Bangalore. Now it came to Bangalore in 2011, and then what? 2011, the act was updated, but the rules were not made. It took another 5 years to make the rules. That was in 2016. And I'm just talking about the city corporation. How many city corporations are there in Karnataka apart from Bangalore? 10 are there. So total 11 corporations are there. Now we have a separate BBMP Act. Earlier, the Karnataka Municipal Corporation Act was there. So from 2011 to make the rules, it took another 5 years. In 2016, the rules were made. Okay, then what happened? Did the ward committees or the citizen participation start after that? No. It took another 3 or 4 years for the ward committees to be actually formed in the capital city, Bangalore. That is around 2019, 2020. And now what is the state of affairs in the other cities? We'll cover that in our panel discussion. So with that brief recap of civic participation, and particularly in Karnataka, and also noting that there are various models of citizen participation. We know ward committee as one model of citizen participation. There are other models. There is a Kudumbashri model in Kerala. There is a Basti committee in Telangana, Hyderabad. There are, not at the ward level, but at certain specific community level, like the Slum Dweller Association in Odisha. And there could be some things in Delhi, in Gujarat, in Maharashtra. There are various models of civic participation. In Karnataka, right now, the institutional forum available for citizens to engage with their city governments is the ward committees and area sabhas. So don't think that, also think that ward committees are the only forums for participation of citizens. We have also what is called as the area sabhas. Area sabhas are not notified even in Bangalore, or even if they are notified, they are not operational. So what is the difference between a ward committee and an area sabha? Ward committee has roughly about 10 members who are in some way selected by the local government to be the part of the ward committee, and the councillor is the chairperson. Then you have ward engineers and other officials and other parastatal agencies also invited there. And they discuss about the local problems and do local planning or a vision document that we were talking about. There is something called as ward development scheme. The provision is there. Somebody was talking about the vision. So the ward development scheme provision is there in the ward committee. It needs to be operationalized. And then the area sabhas are there. So please remember, those of us who feel that only 10 people get selected or whatever way get to participate in the ward committee, there is no direct inhibition on people to participate in the ward committees, unless the municipal government is making some provision to stop the people from participating, or it creates defines certain guidelines for the common citizens to also participate in the ward committees. So ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ನಾಗರಿಕರು ಕೂಡ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಸಮಿತಿ ಸಭೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲ್ಗೊಳ್ಳಬಹುದು. ಅದಲ್ಲದೇನೆ ಏರಿಯಾ ಸಭಾ ಇದ್ರೆ, if there is area sabha, every household in that ward or in that area or the polling booth is a member of the area sabha. So nobody is left out. So there is a following of absolute inclusion in that one. So anybody who wishes to participate in the area sabha meetings can participate. Now, what is the status of area sabha? Where do they stand? I think that is a matter of discussion of this panel. So with that, I think we'll first have some introductory remarks, and I would request all my panelists, co-panelists, to speak from the place, from their sitting place, and make remarks. I'll call out one by one. So give your introductory remarks of how do you see citizen participation? What are the things that you have seen in your own cities, in the neighborhood? Take about 4 to 5 minutes each, and then we will get into some questions and answers. I'll also take the seat and I'll continue. So who would like to start off first? Hiremath. So I would request Mr. Sidramayya Hiremath, who is coming from Kalburgi. I know him personally since the last more than 10 to 12 years. I know him as somebody who is championing the causes of citizens, rights, transparency, participation. So I think Sidramayya Hiremath is synonymous with these things in that part of the state. So I would request him, sir, ಸಂಕ್ಷಿಪ್ತವಾಗಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳು, you can please share with the audience, and then we'll.
Good afternoon to everyone. Myself Sidramayya Hiremath. I came from very backward region, Kalyan, Karnataka, Kalburgi district. I am a RTI activist, and ನಾನು ಕಾಂತ್ಯಾನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಂತೋಷ್ ನರ್ಗುಂದ್ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಸುಮಾರು from 12 years, I think we have started RTI activity, awareness activity, and other Sakala, then ward committee formation campaign, awareness campaign. It's very difficult to formation of ward committee in our backward region, especially in Kalburgi City Corporation. First, we started to form ward committee in 2019. Till as on date, no ward committee formation ಇನ್ನೂ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, because lack of awareness, and there was no body, CMC body ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. So we have given first CMC commissioner call for ward committee application. We have 55 wards in Kalburgi City Corporation, but after 30 days single application, ಯಾವ application ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ. So commissioner called me and I discussed with Santosh and Kantyani madam. We have to do awareness program. What is ward committee? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, 74 ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಎಲ್ಲ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಫೈನಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ we have conducted 2 awareness programs. One ಕಾಂತ್ಯಾನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸಂತೋಷ್ ನರ್ಗುಂಡ್. ಕಾಮನ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಅಂಡ್ 74 ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಂತ ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ, ಸೊ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಕಮಿಷನರ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಫಾರ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್. ಸೊ 55 ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ we have received only 10 ward, more than 150 or 200 applications. So again time extension, 1 more month time extension ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ 7 month ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ನಮಗೆ 55 ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಗೆ 10 ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಹಾಕ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್. ಎವ್ರಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಕಾಂತ್ಯಾನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಂತೋಷ್ ಅವರು ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಮಾನಿಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಕಿ ಎವ್ರಿ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಗೆ ನಾವು ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಹೋಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 10 ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಸ್ಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಮಹಿಳಾ ಸ್ವಸಹಾಯ ಸಂಘದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರಿಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅವರನ್ನ ಹೋಗಿ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಸಮಿತಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ, ಸೊ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ 8 months ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ we have received 1150 applications. ಈಗ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಗೆ 55 ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಗೆ 1150 ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. 9 months ಸ್ಟ್ರಗಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ 100% ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ಕೂಟ್ನಿ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಫೈನಲೈಸ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಕಮಿಷನರ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಬಾಡೀಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಜನರಲ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಂತ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಜನರಲ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಆದಾಗ 100% ನಾವು ಆ ಸ್ಕೂಟ್ನಿ ಆಗಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಂತ್ ಇಂದ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿಯ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫೈನಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ನಾವು 2-3 ಅಂಶಗಳನ್ನ, ಯಾರು ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿಯ ಸದಸ್ಯರಾಗಬೇಕು, ದ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಸಿಟಿಜನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸಮ್ MLA ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತನ ತಗೋರು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ ಕಮಿಷನರ್ಗೆ. ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಪಕ್ಷದವರನ್ನ ತಗೋ ಅಂತಾನೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಯಾರು ಬಿದ್ದಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಪೋಸಿಷನ್, ಅವ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಇವರನ್ನ ತಗೋರಿ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು, ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಯಾರು ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಇಂದ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರು ಬರಬಾರ್ದು. ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಯಾರು MLA ಆರ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಸಮ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಕಮಿಷನರ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ, ಸೊ ಕಮಿಷನರ್ ಅವರು ಅವ್ರ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು ಈ ತರ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಮ್ಯಾನರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಕಮಿಷನ್ ಜೊತೆ ನಾವು ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಗಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಅದೇ ಈಗ 1150 ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ವಿದಿನ್ 1 or 2 months ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಅದು ಯಾವ ತರ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಲಬುರಗಿ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಂತ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದವ್ರೆ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ಸ್, ಅವ್ರು ನಮಗ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ, 74 ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅವರು ಕನ್ವಿನ್ಸ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಈಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಕಾಂತ್ಯಾನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅವರಿಂದ, ಸಿವಿಕ್ ಅವರಿಂದ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಂತೋಷ್ ನರಗುಂದ್ ಅವರ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪಟ್ಟು ಈ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕರೆದು ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂತ್ಯಾನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಂತೋಷ್ ನರಗುಂದ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಅದರ್ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಅವರೇ. ಸೊ ಇದಕ್ಕೂ ಮುಂಚೆ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು one more point we need to remember. Earlier also in the previous panels there were some mentions about it, and I had a few days back written in a column also that the city municipal council or the corporation elections happen, but it takes not just months but days together. We know Bangalore has not had elections for last 2 years or more than 2 years. But there are many cities where elections are not held. After 2 years, elections are held, but the council is not formed or the mayor is not elected. And I think Kalburgi has been one of those unfortunate cities where I think even after the formation of after the election results are announced, for more than 1 year almost, I think the council was not formed. And after the council is formed, so there is no statutory provision to say that the council has to be formed within so and so date. Lok Sabha or Vidhan Sabha has to be constituted within, before the previous term expires. The same way, the 74th amendment calls for elections and formation of the council before the previous council's term expires, but it is followed more in violation than in more in violation actually. So Kalburgi has been one of those unfortunate cities, and there are many other cities in Karnataka where the elections don't happen on time and elections happen, but councils are not formed. Now the next step is, after the council is formed, the ward committees have to be formed. The council has been formed, but there have been months have passed, the ward committees are not still formed. So these are some issues that citizens have been grappling with, but it's a very heartening thing that Mr. Hiremath is saying now. After so much of awareness and engagement of the people, more than 1,000 people have applied. Actually, there are supposed to be about 550 people will finally get nominated to the ward committees for those 55 wards in Kalburgi. But now more than 1,000 people, 1,100 people have applied. So thank you, Mr. Hiremath. With that, I think I'll go to Ms. Malavika to share her views on where Mysore stands. From my knowledge, Mysore is nearly ending towards the end of its 5-year term. So it's, I think, about a year term is remaining for the council. And so what are the challenges that people have been facing in Mysuru about ward committees, participation, area sabhas, or anything related to that, please?
Thank you, Santosh. Namaskara ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ. 2018 is when I got involved with this cause. And that was when Katyayani ma'am had invited a state level participation for a convention about 74th Amendment awareness session. So, and then it was decided that we'll have a group petition filed, PIL filed for all the 11 cities, and I was part of that. That I think could not go through completely. So eventually, I think Mangalore was the first to go individually file a PIL for exclusively Mangalore City Corporation, and they won the PIL. So encouraged by that, me and a couple of other citizens, my friends, we filed a PIL from Mysore. And it was done in 2019, and we got a favorable verdict in 21 April. So meanwhile, we knew that, nobody hardly knows what is 74th Amendment or what is ward committees. So we took up the cause of, creating this awareness, and we held a lot of awareness sessions to various organizations, groups, Rotary groups, Mahila Samajas, and environmental groups. So we kept on doing those awareness sessions. Meanwhile, before my involvement, there were sporadic attempts made by citizens, individuals, and groups to request the MCC, the Mysore City Corporation, to implement the ward committees or the formation of ward committees. Now, some year in 2000, I guess, there was a few JNNURM projects that had to be implemented in Mysore, and the condition was that to release the funds, that they have to have ward committees. So for 8 months or so, during the time of Manivanan as Mysore Commissioner, the Corporation Commissioner, there were ward committees that kind of loosely functioned as ward committees, and it was dissolved immediately after the projects were done. So after that, there was a huge gap. There was no talk of ward committees or area sabhas. And various organizations, including mine, started putting requests to MCC Commissioner in 2018 to form the ward committees. And I went ahead and filed the PIL. And after we got the favorable order, a group of citizens went to the commissioner and gave him a copy of the order. Obviously, he would have received the same by the High Court, but we also gave the copy and also took along with us the process followed in Mangalore to form the ward committees. So that unfortunately the KMC Act does not give you details of how the ward committee members need to be selected. It gives a constitution of who needs to be there as in kind of a reservation type of composition, but it does not tell you how the selection has to be done, who has to do the selection. The entire rights actually resides with the city corporation commissioner. But when we met him, he said yes, and he was supposed to give the response to the court by 2 or 3 months of forming the ward committees and area sabhas. And for nearly 2 months, nothing happened. And one fine day, the council meeting happened, and they had already approved a list of 10 members from each ward. And then we again met the commissioner and asked, how did this happen? None of us knew, and none of the public knew. There was no advertisements, no call for applications. There is no selection committee that we have heard of. So they said, no, these were nominated by the officers and the local corporators. So we objected to that. So when we objected to that, he conveniently put the ball in the UDD's court by seeking clarification on how the selection or nomination has to happen. So the ward committees, on paper, there are 10 members per ward. We have 65 wards. And they have also appointed the ward secretaries. But the clarification or the question to how the selection needs to be done of the members is they have written a letter to UDD and also DMA, and they're waiting for answer to that since probably 2-3 years. And same thing with area sabhas. Fortunately, they have gone ahead and determined the areas for the area sabhas, and they've also appointed area sabha representatives. And again, they have sent this proposal to the UDD and DMA and waiting for their approval. So Mysore City Corporation is very active. The elections are happening on time. Councils are also formed on time, hardly any delay. The council meetings happen regularly, and they've been actively suppressing or delaying the ward committee formations. So we've been pursuing that. Okay, now that we are nearly coming to the end of the MCC term, so we'll go ahead with whatever selection you have. Anyway, there is going to be a new set of people coming in for the next term, because even the ward committee's term ends with the corporator's term. So we wanted to push forward, but then the commissioner was, delaying tactics, waiting for the approvals, waiting for the answer from UDD. So unfortunately, for the last 1 year, I've not been able to follow up on this because of my involvement in the elections, assembly elections. So still 21, this was the status. And now again, I'll start pursuing on this and continue with my awareness sessions for the public. But one more thing I would like to say is in Mysore, the public participation has been very low compared to Mangalore or elsewhere. But when they did not do any proper selection of the citizens for the ward committee, and they did not announce or did not invite applications, what we did was we ourselves reached out to organizations and interested people and said, just write a letter to the MCC saying that you know about this happening, ward committees are going to be formed, and you are interested in being part of the ward committee, and give your experiences, whatever you have done in your social work or any governance, local governance, whatever the experience you have. So please put that and submit it to the MCC. So as far as I know, I think there were around 100 applications, not really applications, letter of intent, I would say. Some 100 letters were received by MCC. So this is all that we could have done so far. We have been doing so far, and I'm hoping that things will improve and will be better. There is a new commissioner who has taken charge now in Mysore, and I'm hoping that he'll be a little different and will implement this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Malavika Aure. So different cities have different experiences, but one common thing what I have seen across Karnataka is that there may be an initial delay in people catching up with the application or whatever, because people are not aware that there are institutional forums where they can come and engage with the city government, like area sabhas or ward committees. But eventually, when they are made aware, a lot of people are interested to engage. Now, then the ball is back in the city corporation's court. How enabling the provisions are to welcome the people to be part of the governance process, and the city corporation, the elected councillors and the people work as a team for the development of the neighborhood or the city. So with that, Mangaluru has been showing some really positive signs. The people came together there, challenged the status quo, and finally they got the ward committees formed, and we have Mr. Nigel at the forefront of this campaign or movement of citizens. So various organizations participated. So while in his opening remarks, I would request Mr. Nigel to not only touch upon summarize what was the campaign, but because the ward committees are functional in the last 1.5 years or so, tell us some good and some challenges also about them. Maybe you can take about 4 to 5 minutes.
Good afternoon to everybody. I'm Nigel Albuquerque from Mangalore, having spearheaded the cause for 60 ward committees across the 60 wards of Mangalore City Corporation, and also area sabhas. The Urban Development Department determined a total of 121 areas. Broadly speaking, 2 areas per ward. One ward had 3 areas. So the reason we came forward and decided to challenge the municipal authorities in Mangalore was zero accountability on the part of the corporator. Blatant siphoning of public funds on each and every work that was implemented, each and every contract, kickbacks at every level. So the ward corporator was more of a ward monarch than a public servant. So we wanted to hold the corporator accountable for his or her actions. Now, how do you do that? You have to make use of the constitutional and statutory framework. And we found that the solution was in the 74th constitutional amendment by way of formation of ward committees in each of the 60 wards and also the area sabhas. Now we approached the commissioner there. This was back in 2016, and demanded that the provisions of the KMC Amendment Act of 2011 to be implemented. So he, typically they'll just try to avoid or evasive tactics. And he said the council is blocking it. They're not passing the resolution at the council meeting. Now, what is a commissioner supposed to do if the council intentionally and deliberately defies the constitutional and statutory mandate? It is the duty on the part of the commissioner to escalate the matter to his higher authority, which is the Urban Development Department. Depending on the jurisdiction, smaller towns would come under the principal secretary, and the municipal commissioners, 11 cities municipal commissioners come under the additional chief secretary, UD. So he had to escalate this to bring it to his attention, and the Urban Development Department is vested with powers to overrule the council and get the provisions of the law implemented. That was not done. So we hit a roadblock. The executive power, or you can say the commissioner's duty, is to implement the law. And here there was a commissioner not interested in performing his duty. So as I said, as we hit a roadblock, we had to, the only other remedy was going to court. And we crowdfunded, and along with included another 2 petitioners, 2 of us from Manglo, the Manglo Civic Group, and from I reached out to Madam Katyani Chamraj, and through her to another activist in Bangalore, Mr. Narendra Kumar, and 4 of us were petitioners to a writ petition before the High Court filed in November 2018, demanding 60 ward committees and also area sabhas. I wanted area sabhas also, because only ward committees without area sabhas does not serve the purpose. And in 8 months, the orders were passed. The orders were pronounced by the then Chief Justice, Abhay Srinivas Oka. October 19, the orders were passed. There was no council at that time. Elections took place in November 19, but the swearing in of the council happened only at the end of February of 20. And then came the COVID pandemic, which caused further delay. Finally, as per the act, the council has to pass a resolution, and the unanimous resolution was passed in August 20, ratified a month later in September 20. And I impressed upon the then Commissioner, Akshay Sridhar, to follow the process that was followed in 2019 by Hubli Dharwad Municipal Corporation. I even showed him the application forms calling for applications. And he did precisely that. Applications were invited in the month of November 20. Last date was extended to, and the initial response, of course, was lukewarm. First time it's happening. So It was less than expected. So I asked Akshay Sridhar to extend the last date, and he proactively extended the last date from the 17th of November to the 4th of December. More than a month's window was provided. And a total of 1,271 applications were received. Then came the process that has not been followed by the Mysore City Corporation. And that is, the commissioner had a 4-step process to be followed. Akshay Sridhar, who's an IAS officer, he's no longer the commissioner now. First step was the application stage, which was completed. Second step was forming a selection panel. No corporator to be included. The commissioner chairs the selection panel, and his 3 deputies, there are deputy commissioners below the municipal commissioner, and there are 3 in Mangalore City Corporation. So commissioner chairs the panel, selection panel, and 3 of his deputy commissioners are the members. They performed the provisional selection, which was published in August of 21, giving 15 days time, inviting objections against the provisional selection. About 100 odd objections were received from the public, which were evaluated by the same election panel, and they finalized the selection at the beginning of November 21. A training program was conducted for the selected ward committee members and the nominated ward committee secretaries. Secretaries, of course, are the officers of appropriate rank from the corporation itself. Normally, it would be a junior engineer level and above. So they had training in January 22. The secretaries then wanted a second training. So they were given a second training in February 22. And the meetings finally commenced in March 22. And from March 22 to now we are in August 23. The meetings on paper are happening, but on the ground is a question mark. I would say that all 60 ward committees are not meeting. There are some that are meeting regularly. Some are meeting. Some of the meetings are being held intermittently, and some meetings are just not happening because, for want of quorum. The quorum required is 1/3 of the total members, totally selected members. So there's a lot of work involved here to find out the reasons why some of the ward committees are not meeting every month, and why some of the ward committees are not meeting at all. So a lot of work on the ground is required here to find out and prescribe solutions, and get them to come forward and participate. But there are, as one of the panelists said earlier in the morning, the core part of the city has a greater possibility of functioning the meetings every month. The periphery of the city, the periphery wards, has a lesser possibility. So the challenge is on the periphery of the city. Now, this is about ward committee. Alongside, the Urban Development Department had determined 121 areas to constitute 121 area sabha. What is an area sabha? An area sabha is all the voters registered as in the polling stations of the determined area are the members. It's like the parallel of the Gram Sabha at Panchayat level. Ward committee is only the chosen members who participate. So what about the non-members? They are the large majority, right? Who's going to hear them? How is their voice to reach the corporation? 10 members in the ward committee may not highlight everything that the areas that the ward the voters in the ward want, right? So you have to provide a platform for the common citizens also, which is area sabha. All the voters of the respective areas, or in the polling stations of the respective area, are the members. Their meetings are not held every month. Their meetings are held once in 3 months. And their decisions are forwarded to the ward committee. Ward committee deliberates on the minutes of the area sabha meetings and forwards the decisions to the corporation. That's how it is. Area Sabha to the ward committee and ward committee to the corporation council for ratification before implementation. Anyways, I've spoken quite a lot. I'll just touch upon Area Sabha and then close. 121 areas were determined. Now it had to follow the same process that ward committee followed, except that there's no application stage and all that, no selection, etc. So council had to pass the resolution. They delayed it here. And the reason for delaying it was there were some challenges that cropped up during the functioning of the ward committee. See, whenever you start a new system, there will always be challenges. But simply saying there are challenges and deferring the matter is not a solution. There is a provision in the KMC Act under section 13J providing for bylaws, and this irons out all, or if not all, at least most of the challenges during the meetings, to make the meetings, the functioning of the ward committee and area sabha effective. Now, instead of first drafting and notifying bylaws and commencing with the 121 area sabha meetings, they simply said ward committee meeting galali gondala ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಏರಿಯಾ ಸಭಾ ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮುಂದೂಡಲಾಗಿದೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು 1 ವರ್ಷ ಸಮಯ ಕಳೆಯಿತು. And recently, due to persistently following up with the new council secretary, who's a KS officer, he wrote, I showed him the Mysore judgment copy, I showed him the Mangalore judgment copy, I showed him my letter to the former commissioner Akshay Sridhar in January, which was resubmitted to the next commissioner Karibasappa and the current commissioner Anand. Showed him all of that. When he saw all that, he wrote a 2-page detailed report to the commissioner, and that was forwarded by the commissioner to the mayor. The prerogative, the agenda for council meeting is the prerogative of the chairperson of the council, who is the mayor. Just like ward committee, the corporator's prerogative is based on what he approves is discussed at the meeting. So agenda is decided by the chairperson. So the same mayor who was trying to defer the decision last year, I mean, of course, not the same man, the next mayor, he seeing this detailed report, the 2-page detailed report, he included the agenda in the council meeting for last month, that is July. 28th of July, it was passed unopposed. So now we are all set for 121 area sabhas to start functioning meetings once in 3 months, as soon as the ratification happens in the August council meeting. So Mangalore will be the first city in Karnataka to have functional area sabhas, and also to draft and notify bylaws for effective functioning of the ward committee and area sabhas. And for ward committee functioning, we are the second after the BBMP in Bangalore. Thank you very much. And sorry for taking a longer time.
Thank you, Nigel. You can keep that. So thank you so much for giving a summary of the chronology of events in Mangalore. That gives us a feel for how much it has taken for the citizens of Mangalore to get a constitutional provision that exists since the last 30 years. It is there in the KMC Act since the last 10 years to get it implemented on ground. And it's a really encouraging example for other city corporations to follow. But the crux of the matter here is that the guidelines or the processes for formation of ward committees are not uniform across the cities. So Bangalore would follow certain process, Hubli Dharwad would do something, Mangalore would do something, and some cities would not do anything at all. One of the key challenges has been the selection process. They are not uniform, and under the pretext of getting clarification from the urban development department or the government, the process is delayed for years together. So these are some challenges, I think, which have to be removed to facilitate citizen participation in a more ready way and a meaningful way. So we'll come back to Nigel on some other aspects. So now moving on to Mr. Karibasappa. Karibasappa ಅವರು BD Workers Association from ದಾವಣಗೆರೆ. ದಾವಣಗೆರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಸಮಿತಿ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆ ಹೇಗಿದೆ, ಸದ್ಯದ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಏನಿದೆ, ತಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸಂಕ್ಷಿಪ್ತವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಜೊತೆ ಹಂಚ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಕರಿಬಸಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು. ನಾನು ಬಿಡಿ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರಲ್ ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನನಗೆ ಕಳೆದ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಕಾತಾನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಪರಿಚಯ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಹಲವಾರು ವಿಷಯಗಳಿಗೆ ನನಗೆ ಕರಿತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಿವಿಕ್ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ನೆರಳು ಬಿಡಿ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ನಾವು 2 ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. 100 ಜನ ಸೇರಿಸಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಕಮಿಷನರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆಯವರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಒತ್ತಡ ಬಂತು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಮಹಿಳಾ ಸದಸ್ಯರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ತರಬೇತಿಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಪರಿಷತ್ತಿನ ಇಲಾಖೆ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರೇ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತಾನೆ ಅವ್ರ ವಿರೋಧ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಆದೇಶ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಆದೇಶ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಒತ್ತಡ ಹಾಕಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸಿವಿಕ್ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಾತಾನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಒಂದ್ 2-3 ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ 2-3 ಸರಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಈಗ ದಾವಣಗೆರೆನೂ ಸಹ ಸ್ಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಸಿಟಿ, ಆದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಸಿಟಿ ತರ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಹೆಸರು ಮಾತ್ರ ಸ್ಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆ. 42 ಸ್ಲಮ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ. ನಾವು ಸ್ಲಮ್ಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಇವತ್ತಿಗಿನ ಸ್ಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಸಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹುಡುಕ್ಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇನೆ, ಹಂಗಿದೆ ಸಿಟಿ. 45 ವಾರ್ಡ್ಗಳಿದವು. 45 ವಾರ್ಡ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ 22 ವಾರ್ಡ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಈಗ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಕಚೇರಿಗೆ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನಾವು ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ನನಗೊಂದು ಪಟ್ಟಿನೂ ಸಹ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಉಳಿದ ಕಡೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿ ಅವ್ರ ಹೆಸರು ಹೇಳೋದು ಬೇಡ, ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳಿಗೂ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ಗೂ ಆಸಕ್ತಿನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ನಿಮ್ಮಂತರ ಯಾರೋ ಬಂದು ಒತ್ತಡ ಹಾಕಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅಥವಾ ಸಿವಿಕ್ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಅಂತದ್ದು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಇಂದ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಬಯಸಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಥವಾ ಏನಾರ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಎಚ್ಚರ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನೀವು 6 ತಿಂಗಳ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಮಲಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಆ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗಿರೋ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿ ಅಂತರೂ ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಏರಿಯಾ ಸಭೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏರಿಯಾ ಸಭೆ ಇಲ್ರಿ, ಬರೀ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಸಭೆ, ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇರೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ನೋಡಿ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಇನ್ನು ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಅಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರೂ ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆನಾ ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ನೋಡೋಣ, ನಾಳೆ ಒಂದು ಸಭೆ ಇದೆ, ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಆ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ತಗೊಂಬಂದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಈಗ ಇದು 4ನೇ ವರ್ಷ, ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿ 3 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯ್ತು, ಈಗ 4ನೇ ವರ್ಷ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ನಿನ್ನೆನೂ ಸಹ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ನಿನ್ನೆ 22 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಅವರು ಏನು ವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಪೌರಾಡಳಿತ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರು ಏನೋ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅಪ್ರೂವಲ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂತೆ. 22 ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಪಟ್ಟಿ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ನೀವು ಇದನ್ನ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಿ ಅಂತ. ಇವ್ರು ಇನ್ನೂವರೆಗೂ ಅದನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಇವತ್ತು ಅಧಿಕಾರಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಕೇಳಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಯಾಕೆ ನೀವು ಅಪ್ರೂವಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರು ಯಾಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಕಾಯ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಫೆಬ್ರವರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು, ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. 6 ತಿಂಗಳ ಆಯ್ತು. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದೆ, ನೀವು ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಪತ್ರ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಈ ಥರದ್ದು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂತ. ಇಲ್ಲ, 1 ಪತ್ರ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ, ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೇನು ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಸಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಸಹ ಸುಮಾರು ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಳು ಇದಾವು ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ. ತುಂಬಾ ಎಡಪಂಥೀಯ ಮತ್ತೆ ದಲಿತ ಸಂಘರ್ಷ ಸಮಿತಿ, ರೈತ ಸಂಘ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನು ಸಹ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಥವಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಜನರಿಗೆ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ನಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಾಧ್ಯನೋ ನಮ್ಮ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್ ನಮಗೆ ಹಲವಾರು ರೀತಿಯ ಬೆಂಬಲಗಳನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ನಾವು ಹೋಗಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮನವಿ ಪತ್ರ ಕೊಡೋದು, ಕೇಳೋದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಜನರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಕುರಿತು 1-2-3 ಸಲ ತುಂಬಾ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕೆಲಸ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನನಗೆ ಅನ್ಸೋದು ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರಿಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 74ನೇ ತಿದ್ದುಪಡಿ ಮತ್ತು ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಸಭೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇಕು? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನೊಬ್ಬನೇ ವಾರ್ಡ್ಗೆ ರಾಜಿ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು, ಇನ್ನು ಉಳಿದವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಬೇಡ. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಯಾಕೆ? ಹಲವಾರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಬರ್ತಾವಲ್ವಾ, ಹಲವಾರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಹೇಳೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಒಂದು ಬುಕ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ತೆಗೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಸಹ ಅವರ ನಡವಳಿಕೆ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಘಟನೆ ಈ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಮಟ್ಟದ ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಳಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೂ ಒತ್ತಡ ಹಾಕಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಪ್ರತಿ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಏನಾದರೂ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಆದರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಕರೆದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ತರಬೇತಿಗಳು ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು, ಕಮಿಷನರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೇಯರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒತ್ತಡ ಹಾಕಿ ಕಮಿಟಿ ರಚನೆ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವು ರನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಬರೀ ರಚನೆ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದಲ್ಲ, ಅವು ರನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಏರಿಯಾ ಸಭೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಮಹಾನಗರ ಪಾಲಿಕೆ ಇವ್ರಿಗೇನೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಮೂಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೇಗೆ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದಿರೋ ಸವಾಲು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಳು ಸೇರಿ ಈ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಕರಿಬಸಪ್ಪ ಅವರೇ. ಸೊ ಮಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದ್ ರೀತಿ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇದ್ರೆ, ದಾವಣಗೆರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದ್ ರೀತಿ ಇದೆ, ವಿಜಯಪುರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬೇರೆ ತರದ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇದೆ. ಹೀಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಮಹಾನಗರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಇರದೇ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಅಥವಾ ನಗರಾಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಇಲಾಖೆಯಿಂದ, ಸೊ ಈ ತರದ ಅನೇಕ ಸವಾಲುಗಳು ನಾಗರಿಕರು ತಮ್ಮ ನಗರದ ಒಂದು ಆಡಳಿತದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲ್ಗೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಎದುರಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಮುಂದಿನ ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ಗೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ದ ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ದಟ್ ದ ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಅರೈವ್ಡ್. So I think we'll take just about 5 odd minutes and take some more views from the panelists and maybe 1 or 2 questions, and we'll try to conclude this important session. So just because of lack of time, we overshot time in the previous pre-lunch session. So I will limit myself to just one quick question to all the panelists to bring out more aspects of this citizen participation. So I would like to pose my first question to Mr. Hiremath. So Hiremath avare, nimma prakara what are the 2 or 3 major reforms or improvements that you would like to see in terms of citizen participation to strengthen the citizen participation in city governance?
For formation of ward committee?
No, what are the, in whether it is ward committee or how to strengthen the citizens' participation in ward committees?
First citizen should know what is the budget, what is the tax collection, entire the ward or city corporation limit. But there is no transparency in our Kalaburgi City Corporation website. Only city corporation website, commissioner photo and councillor photo, enough. No transparency, no budget details, no fund utilization details, no civil work details. So first public ಗೆ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ತೆರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ತೆರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಖರ್ಚಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಅವರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಸಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ನಾವು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ,
ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಪಾಲಿಕೆ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕು. ಸಿ ಈವನ್ ಬಿಬಿಎಂಪಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಲಬುರಗಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಸಂತೋಷ್ ಅವ್ರ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನಂಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎನಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಲೋಕೇಶನ್ ಯುಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್? ನೋ, ಓನ್ಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ Kalaburgi City Corporation website, only commissioner photo, councillor photo, enough, and contact details, address. So I have given lot of letter, memorandum. So bring transparency in transparency and accountability in budget allocation, utilization, and maximum crores of around 300 to 400 crores of rupees in utilization certificate ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. Implementing agency or engineer utilization certificate ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದಾಗ,
so you are saying that overall there should be more awareness brought to the citizens and more transparency in the form of sharing the vital information regarding the revenues, the tax collection, the funds available for development, and make it readily available on the website or things like that. Thank you so much. So the next question I would like to have a very brief answer from Malavika avare. So how can elected representatives play an effective role in strengthening, in forging a partnership? Because there may be a long struggle to get the ward committees formed. At the end of the day, the councillor, the officials and the citizens, only when they work together, there can be some meaningful development in the area and the city. So there may be challenges, but how do you see the councillor or the political leaders as leaders of the community? What is their role in making this partnership stronger?
Okay. The political representatives, I think it is one of their main responsibility to forge a relationship between the bureaucracy, between the administration, political leadership and the citizens. They are the bridge actually. So if not anybody else, people expect them to be on their side. Now, the most delay or the most resistance is happening because of the politicians. I would just say in simple sentence that, there is no will, there is no political will or intent to make this happen. If they want it, it can happen. For that, I can give an example. There is a Yadavgiri ward in Mysore where there have been happening some ward committee meetings. This is not announced publicly, but they have some niche group, some WhatsApp group where they call the meeting through that group, and there are certain members whom they want to include. And some meetings are happening, and whatever they are asking for, those works are getting done. Probably it is a vote bank. So if they want to, there is technology that they can reach out to people and get things done, and they can be in touch with people. They can have local meetings, regular frequent meetings. It's just about the intention, that's all.
Okay, so more thoughts. I think it's for all of us to see how to make this a good partnership between the three entities, because whatever struggle we may do to get the ward committees or area sabhas constituted, ultimately the development is possible only when the three entities work together as a team, because this is about participation. So it can't be like one entity displaces another entity or takes over the power of other entity. It's about how the three entities work together. It's definitely, there are no ready answers, but that is the thing that we have to address. So a quick answer from Mr. Nigel. So now that the ward committees are already formed, and it's been, as far as I understand, we have been tracking some numbers in Mangalore. So in the last more than a year, for all the 60 wards, more than 350 or 350 plus meetings would have happened across Mangalore. Many more should have happened, but only about 350 have happened, which is about 40%. So, and there is a provision for ward development scheme in the KMC Act. So how do you, what is the opportunity you see to use that ward development? How can the ward development scheme, provision for ward development scheme, be effectively used for the benefit of the ward? A very brief answer.
In the first place, what I strongly advocate is that everyone should be abreast of the 6-page KMC Amendment Act of 2011 and the supplementing rules, that is the ward committee rules of 2016, 4 pages. So 6 pages there and 4 pages here, totally 10 pages in simple layman's language. It's not some legal terminology. Very simple language is used in these 10 pages, which anyone with simple comprehension skills can understand. There is no substitute to learning these 10 pages. Once you learn what's written there, you will realize what the law, how the law is enabling you to bring about accountability, responsibility, and transparency, which is non-existent as on date. Without knowing the rules of the game, you cannot play the game. But most people expect ward committee and area sabha to produce results like magic. There is no magic. Everything follows a given process. You want desired results, then you read and follow the rules. Read and follow the act and read and follow the rules. reading and following. I'm not asking you to read a 100-page volume. No. 6 pages and 4 pages, 10 pages in all. And that is the only way you will be empowered to realize the design of the 74th constitutional
Nigel.
amendment.
Mr. Nigel, so in the interest, because the other panelists are waiting, if you could just answer the ward development plan.
What development plan?
Yeah.
It is a function of both. What development scheme is the function of both the ward committee and the area sabhas. Area sabhas have to provide suggestions to the ward committee on the points that should be included in the ward development scheme. The ward committee on its part incorporates the suggestions of the area sabhas, and if the ward committee has some more suggestions, even those can be included and forwarded to the corporation. In response, the corporation allocates funds to realize the provisions of the ward development scheme. In Mangalore City Corporation, in the absence of ward committee and area sabha, the annually a budget of 50 lakh rupees was allocated to each corporator. So 60 corporators into 50 lakh rupees is X amount. Recently, last month, the 50 lakh allocated to each corporator has been revised to 75 lakh. The corporators wanted 1 crore, but the mayor agreed for 75 lakh. So annually, each of the 60 corporators in Mangalore City Corporation has been getting 50 lakh annually, and going forward will get 75 lakh annually. Why it's been allocated to the corporator all along is because there were no ward committee and no area sabha. Now that there is ward committees have been functioning in Mangalore for more than a year, and area sabhas are due to start functioning within a month or maybe by September. It is high time that when the next municipal budget is prepared, last municipal budget, I tried on my own. I spoke to the mayor and I asked in front of the commissioner, and I said, you allocate the fund allocated to the corporator. Instead of corporator, you give it to the ward committee, allocate it to the ward committee. But he just said we give 50 lakh to the corporator. He did not understand what I was talking.
So Nigel, to summarize, I think, pardon me for the interruption. So what you are trying to say
Okay.
So the overall broad-based participation through the ward committees, the inputs can be taken, and the whatever fund is available at the ward level.
Yes.
Yeah. If you can
So
summarize.
the 50 lakh, which has now become 75 lakh annually, going at least now, what is past is past. Going forward, at least when the corporation invites the citizens for a public meeting on suggestions for the municipal budget, usually it happens in the month of January. By that time, I am setting a target that by that time, that 75 lakh, the next 75 lakh that is allocated to each corporator will have to be allocated instead to the respective ward committee and area sabhas. The area sabhas provide suggestions. The ward committee finalizes the ward development scheme, submits it to the corporation. Corporation allots the 75 lakhs to the ward committee and area sabha and no longer to the corporator. And second point in the provisions of in the functions of the ward committee is the ward committee will ensure proper utilization of funds allocated under ward development scheme.
Okay.
So this is what is required to be done about ward development scheme. And we have in Mangalore, we have succeeded with ward committee. We have just succeeded with area sabha and bylaws. And now, as I said, the next target is to get the 75 lakh allocated to the ward committee and the area sabha and no longer to the corporate. And ward committee and area sabha will work in tandem to ensure proper utilization of the 75 lakh annually.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Nigel. So we should also appreciate the fact that while the funds are expected to the ward committee, the chairperson is the councillor. So we can't ignore the role of an elected person who has been duly elected in a democratic way. I think it is, as my own views are that is where the approach of partnership or a win-win situation would be, when the councillor is recognized as a duly elected councillor is recognized as the leader of the ward committee, and the ward committee works with the councillor, so that the holistic development of the ward is done, and the councillors, the officials, and the people can work together as a team. So that is what I was referring to. With that, I think we would conclude this panel discussion. Thank you all to all the panelists coming from different cities of Karnataka. ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ತುಂಬ ಹೃದಯದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. And I would also ask myself and all of us to be excused. The next esteemed panelists are here, so we have taken probably a little more time than that we should have. So with that, I think over to Anirudh. I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Santosh, and thank you everybody for having come from so far away. And I think it's a privilege that we could get to hear all these voices. It is very educative. It's very strange that Mangalore is ahead of Bangalore in many ways. So are Mysore. We have to learn from them instead of making them learn from us. So that's very eye-opening. And we hope we keep these engagements alive so that we can share, we can support each other. We'd like to give you a small token